Hey y'all, welcome back to Dots and Beyond. My name is Beth. Today it is time to set up July in my personal bullet journal with a summer solstice theme. So let's go ahead and get started. If you missed my last video, I have moved into this white ampersand Archer and Olive journal for the back half of 2023. This journal is named Freddy after Freddie Mercury. I've made one small change since then, and that's basically that I'm not navigating with the ribbons. I am using this bottom removable tab as a thumb tab. It's just easier to flip to where I want to be each month or each day. Right now I only have the month tab in there. And for the time being, I have just washi taped my ribbons back here in the back, just in case I decide I want to re-implement that system. I have been using both the Avery Ultra tabs and the Post-it removable tabs. Okay, our playlist for July, as voted on by my viewers, is Summer Solstice. And I did a thing that I have not yet done this year, and that's I changed the cover art for that playlist from the time that we voted until today, and I just went ahead and made that a bright sunshine. The reason for that is partially I am feeling creatively burned out, just a little bit, and wanted to make this as simple on me as possible. And the reason that it's going to be super simple is that I already have this stencil that I used in my mid-year setup from last year, from 2022, that has all of these different size suns on it. They're all the same sun, they're just different sizes, and here you can see I've gone ahead and traced some of those out on my cover page and the subsequent pages just to make this super easy. I'm going to jump right in, and on this cover page I am going to trace these in yellow. On my subsequent pages I'm just going to go in freehand and trace the pencil lines that I already have there. And then I'm going to go ahead and color in these small rays as well as the center of our sun with this yellow color, going over a couple of areas just to give it a little bit more shadow and depth. Because my overarching 2023 theme is music and lyrics, typically I sneak in some lyrics somewhere, but here I decided to do song titles from the playlist. And if you saw me counting there, I realized that this is not an even number all the way around, that I wasn't going to be able to just do orange, yellow, orange, yellow, orange, yellow. With the odd number, I decided to do 4 song titles in one color and 3 song titles in the other. And those song titles are Feels Like Summer by Samuel Jack, The Sound of Sunshine by Michael Franti and Spearhead, Coop Island Blues by Anna Brun, Three Little Birds, Bob Marley and the Wailers, Let the Sun Shine by Labyrinth, Sun Hits the Sky by Supergrass, and Always Like This from Bombay Bicycle Club. Now right here I made the first mistake of this video, and that's putting 3 of those orangey colors, or 4 of those orangey colors, all right next to one another, so I do have to come over one of those right there with the darker color so it doesn't look quite so the odd man out. The markers that I'm using in this setup are from Ohuhu. They are dual tip brush markers. I picked these to go along with the Libby washi tapes that I have there at the top of the screen. I will link all of these supplies down in the description box below, as well as the video where I did a full review of the Ohuhu markers. For the header, I'm just writing out July on a monoline cursive with a 0.0 Pigmamicron, and then switching to a 0.05 for my to-do list headers, which I'm keeping pretty standard. Those are Home, Dots and Beyond, and then another project that I have ongoing. For final touches, I am just going to color in a miniature version of our sun over here in the left hand corner, highlight every other line of my to-do lists with the Tombow N89, which is a little bit warmer than the N95 that I usually use, and then just put a little bit of this washi tape up on the top and bottom of our cover page, and we will be done. What I needed this month was a setup that was super quick, super simple, and something I could do with materials I already had on hand. So I took advantage of that stencil and these washi tapes to do my July setup. Again, this time I have song titles instead of song lyrics. This one here is just a little bit darker because it's the one that I had to trace over, but that is okay. We're just going to go ahead and go with it. And I'm going to take a little bit of a tea break before we move on to the calendar page. It is simple, but overall I love the way that this turned out. Setup took me less than an hour once I had everything sketched out, and even my sketching time I think took me about 20 or 25 minutes for the full setup. For the calendar page, I am going to combine 2 suns along with a very simple calendar layout. I'm also going to cut off the right side and make this a little bit of a Dutch door moment. I do use a Monday start, and July is going to be one of those months that ends up with one weird odd day out on a week 6. I'm just going to go ahead and bump it up and put it next to the 1st and the 2nd. So you'll see that little yellow line there on the left of the sun. That's going to be the 31st of July. Now here I'm numbering. I don't catch the mistake until I get a little farther down here and realize that I'm coming up short on numbers, and there has to be a number missing. So I skipped July 6th, and I did that because my spacing for each one of my quote-unquote squares for each day is 6 dot grid spaces across, and as I was counting, I think I thought I wrote 6. So how do I fix it?
One eternity later.
After a lot of thought and experimentation, I've decided to use what I have, and that's going to be putting this darker colored washi tape over top of each one of my highlighted rows. I can still see the numbers through it, but it's really not that bad. So we are going to trace over the existing numbers with a permanent marker. This is a fine tip permanent marker because that washi tape is not going to hold normal ink. And as I stated before, I really wanted this setup to be quick. So this did add a little bit of time to my setup, but I only spent 3 minutes maybe trying to figure out what my fix was going to be so that I could get it on the page and just get moving on. I could have covered up those lines with pages cut out of an old journal. I could have covered them up with strips of sticker paper. Y'all know I use sticker paper a lot, especially in my reading journals and that sort of thing. But now we're going to go ahead and cut off this right side to make a Dutch door. To do that, I am going to use this little green cutting mat that I picked up at a Dollar Tree here in the United States. I bought it specifically because it was the size of an A5 journal. I'm also going to use a pen knife because it stays really close to the ruler without actually cutting the plastic ruler, and just score that down the side and pull it off. Once I have that cut off, I do like to round the corners to make them match the rest of the corners in the journal. And then for that space that's going to be showing underneath the Dutch door and on the other page, I'm just going to decorate with this washi tape. Now originally I intended to put down 2 rows of this darker color, but when I had to go ahead and use that on my calendar instead, I thought that was going to be a little bit too much of that particular color, so I only used 1 color of it and then 2 rows of each of the yellowy orange and then the light yellow. When I'm doing this sort of thing that's running from edge to edge on the paper with all of this washi tape, I also do like to get it all down on the page first and then just trim it all off at once. And then the washi tape on that corner is not going to play nicely with a corner cutter, so I always stick a post-it note directly behind it and then it's going to cut perfectly. We will get to this page with the washi tape in a minute, but let's go ahead and look back at our very simple calendar for July 2023. This month I did skip the daily headers for Monday through Sunday because I always know my week starts on a Monday, but if you wanted to put those in, they would be easy to fit in at the top of the page. Okay, moving on to the next spread. This is going to be my wellness spread where I track my habits as well as sleep, energy, and steps. And if we are jumping straight to this spread after the last couple of months, that means we've skipped one and that I am getting rid of a spread in between these 2 pages, and that spread would be my meal log. I am switching to a digital tool for my meal log because I have not been filling it out in my bullet journal. I'll get a few days filled in, but I definitely don't get in the entire month. So I am super curious. Do you keep a meal log? If you do you keep it on paper in your journal? Do you have a separate journal for your meal log? Do you use a digital tool for your meal log? Let me know in the comments below. Maybe I can find some inspiration in something that works for you. Also, give yourself permission to take anything out of your journal that no longer serves you. But I do mostly keep up with my wellness tracker, so we're going to go ahead and set that up now. Normally I have this tracker centered in the top right 2/3 of the page. The washi tape has already pushed us a little bit to the left, so I went ahead and pushed it a little bit down as well so that I could fit half of a sun here at the top of the page. I do use a scale of 1 to 10 for my sleep, energy, and steps tracker, so here I am putting a dotted line across the 10 mark, the 5 mark, and the 0 mark. Below that, I do write the dates of 1 through 31st of July, as well as the days of the week. Below that, I will track my habits of movement, yoga or stretching, mindfulness, water intake, and then I also put on there my bujo because I'm really struggling with keeping up with my personal bullet journal right now. For filling in the habit trackers, I will introduce another material, and that is going to be dot markers because they have just become my favorite thing for filling those in. So I will use the yellow dot marker for sleep, the black for energy, the orange for steps. And then for the habits at the bottom, I like to keep those simple with a single dot if I have done that habit as well. And I typically keep that in the most neutral color as well, in this case, which will be the black. And I'll just fill in those dots when I've done that habit. And that is it for the wellness tracker for July. Now, speaking of spreads that are no longer serving me and struggling with using my bullet journal, I am going back to the bare basics when it comes to weekly and daily logging. So we are going to set up what the beginning of that is going to look like for week 28, which is July 3rd through 9th. Normally, I also put some sort of monthly review page in my journal, and I'm not even going to think about that until I start getting through the course of my month. So on the left side of this spread, I am going to do a rolling weekly task list. I'm going to start off by just highlighting that top row header here with the yellow. And I'll use the lighter orange as the highlight for the header for every day of the week. In this case, it will be Monday, July 3rd. For the rolling weekly, I will have a column header for Monday through Sunday, one to indicate my dot and one for tasks. I'm also writing the dates above those daily headers, so above Monday is the 3rd, above Sunday is the 9th, and everything in between. And then for visual clarity, I'm highlighting every other line with the Tombow N89, as well as every other column on the days of the week. The rolling weekly will give me a place to come in at the beginning of the week and write down any tasks that I want to get done, and then I'll use the daily logging in the traditional bullet journal method moving forward. The last step in this setup is to flip back to my July through December covers page and stick in our sunshine for the summer solstice playlist. And stay tuned to after the flip through to help me pick what our theme is going to be for September. August is going to be a bit of a surprise because it is my birthday month, and I discovered a little bit of a birthday theme that I've had going on the last couple of years and wanted to keep that going. But here is the July cover page for Summer Solstice with the names of some of the songs from that playlist. My very simple calendar that we had to fix on the fly with this washi tape. Mistakes happen to all of us, and I can tell you that to me, they happen on the regular. Here I have the wellness tracker that has been working best for me this year, as well as the beginning of our first week of July, where I'm going to go very, very minimal and just use some daily logging. Because when I am feeling burnout, creative or otherwise, my solution is to go back to the basics. But now it's time for us to pick our playlist that will be my theme for September. And for September, we're going to slow it down. We're going to look for a little bit more of a chill vibe. First up in our list of chiller playlists is Dirty Martini, which is an eclectic playlist that has sounds from Sade, Johnny Lang, and Nina Simone. Next up is Funking Fantastic, and all of these songs span the decades, but they have a definitive funky vibe. And last but certainly not least is Modern Love Child, which are songs from today that sound like they're from the 60s. This playlist is kicked off by the oh so wonderful Leon Bridges. And those are our choices for September. You can go to the community tab on my channel now and vote for Dirty Martini, Funking Fantastic, or Modern Love Child. Thank you so much for watching as we set up July in my 2023 bullet journal. If you like this video, you know what to do. Please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next one.